London had a way of swallowing people, especially in winter. The rain that year came without pause. The air hung heavy with a damp chill that crept under coats and into bones. Underground beneath the towering neoclassical facade of the British Museum, Jonathan Gable worked in silence. His office had no windows, no clocks, only the soft hum of dehumidifiers and the occasional flicker of the fluorescent light overhead. It suited him. Jonathan had always preferred the company of the dead. He was an archivist senior by rank and reputation, though he never sought attention. For nearly 20 years, he had been the quiet soul who knew where everything was: ancient treaties, misfiled letters from world leaders, forgotten blueprints, misprinted passports, even blacked-out war correspondence. He had an eye for anomalies, and more importantly, a reverence for facts. In an institution full of speculation and historical interpretation, Jonathan focused on what was concrete: paperweight, ink, acidity, marginalia, seals, signatures, patterns. That day, while reviewing a mislabeled Victorian census box from deep storage, he found a file that shouldn't have existed. It was wrapped in acid-free linen, tucked beneath legitimate census records from 1901. The folder was labeled, in block print, Harrogate Hall, 1907, Incident Report. Something about the binding felt wrong, too new. The typeface used for the header wasn't standardized until 1928, and most jarringly, the language of the report, inside while dressed in Edwardian formalism, felt too sharp, too aware. He read through the contents, brow furrowing with each page. The report described the unexplained disappearance of 9 staff members and 3 family residents of Harrogate Hall over a 72-hour period. No signs of violence, no visible damage. The last entry described the discovery of a sealed chamber beneath the estate. Its walls were covered in mirrored glass. Inside, it was nothing but a chair, a small desk, and a single handwritten note that read,
"Subject integration successful. Identity stabilized. Archive entry approved. Timeline is now secure."
That line stopped him cold. Department M meant nothing to him, nor did identity stabilization. The phrasing was entirely anachronistic. The document, allegedly over 100 years old, referenced concepts more familiar in computer science or intelligence briefings. And yet, everything about the file was pristine, aged appropriately, even watermarked with the British government's 19th century sigil. But the signature at the bottom of the last page sent a bolt of unease down his spine.
Dr. Lenora Parrish.
The name clanged in his mind like a struck bell. Parrish had been his professor in Cambridge years ago, archival systems and forensic paper tracking. She was brilliant, reclusive, always wore black gloves. Halfway through the semester, she vanished. The university claimed she'd transferred. Jonathan never heard from her again. He dug through his university keepsakes that night and found an old yearbook. There she was, in grainy black and white, Dr. Parrish, standing stiffly in front of a file cabinet. Then he noticed something impossible. Included in the Harrogate Hall file was a sepia photograph taken in 1907, showing the original estate staff. Standing at the far right was a young woman. It was her, the same face, same posture, same haunting gaze. Jonathan stared at the 2 photos, nearly a century apart. No mistake. It wasn't just unusual, it was impossible. That night, unable to sleep, he opened a secure laptop and ran a facial comparison program. The match came back at 99.8% certainty. He pulled public records, professional directories, death registries. There were no birth records for Lenora Parrish before 1990. No family, no known relatives. Her image showed up sporadically classified conference attendance logs. One grainy security cam still from an airport in Oslo, an obituary for a woman with the same name and face in Montreal, dated 1964. The same face? By the 3rd day, Jonathan had found 7 other names from the Harrogate report that matched active government employees, all in obscure departments. Civil records tied them to various aliases and addresses. They were scattered across time, quietly repositioned every few decades. It was as if someone or something was repopulating reality with its own agents. On the 4th day, he was followed. The man wore a long wool coat and sunglasses, despite the rain. He stood motionless across the street from Jonathan's flat, staring up at his window. When Jonathan exited the building, the man followed. No confrontation, no attempt to hide it, just quiet tracking. When Jonathan ducked into the tube and changed trains twice, the the man was still there. He stopped going home. Instead, he began sleeping in the archives, pretending to pull overnight research duties. He copied the Harrogate file page by page, photographing everything, scanning the hidden watermark codes. He encrypted the images and stored them on an offline drive. He also began recording voice memos, half-hour rants spoken into his phone at 3 a.m. about identity, historical corruption, simulation theories, time loops. He didn't believe all of it, but he had to get it out. On the 6th day, he received a package at the museum. No return address, no markings. Inside was a printed photo. It was a CCTV still of him. Sleeping, the timestamp was from the previous night. He had no memory of sleeping. Alongside the photo was a note typed in courier font.
The more you remember, the less you were. Let go, Archivist. You were not made to think.
He went to his ex-girlfriend, Sarah, a geneticist at University College London. They hadn't spoken in years. He told her only part of the truth. He suspected a health condition, a neurological defect. Would she run a genome analysis? She agreed. When the results came back 3 days later, she looked pale.
There's something strange. There's redundancy in your DNA. Highly structured repetition. That's not natural.
Could it be damage?
No, it looks synthetic.
She showed him the scans. Certain sequences in his genome repeated in a way that suggested they had been copied and pasted, sections of his identity overwritten. Sarah paused. There's another thing. There's no record of your existence before 2004. No birth certificate. No school enrollment. Your NHS record just starts.
But I remember childhood.
Maybe, but memories can be implanted.
Jonathan left without saying goodbye. He tried calling her 2 days later. Her number was disconnected. When he visited her flat, it was empty, clean. No record of her having ever lived there. That night, a final letter arrived, hand-flippered, wax-sealed. Inside was one line.
You are the archive. You are the record. Your curiosity is an error. Return for correction.
He returned to the museum. Everything felt normal. Staff nodded. The front desk greeted him. No one mentioned his absence. Downstairs, past the rotating storage shelves and climate-controlled vaults, he found a narrow hallway labeled C1 Access, authorized only. He had never noticed it before. He placed his hand on the panel. It accepted him. Inside was a white room, empty except for a single reclining chair and a projector mounted on the ceiling. As he entered, the lights dimmed. A voice greeted him.
Welcome back, Jonathan.
He sat down, slowly. You have reached the limit of your loop. You were designed to observe. You developed error state awareness that has now been contained. Do you consent to correction? He didn't answer. He couldn't. 3 weeks later, a new archivist was hired. His name was Jonathan Gable. Young, efficient, polite. He wore thick glasses and preferred not to talk much. The staff welcomed him. They said he'd always worked there. The database agreed. The payroll agreed. His ID badge said so. And he always knew exactly where to find the right files. Even the old ones. Even the ones no one else remembered. But sometimes, when he looked in the mirror, he saw a flicker. A glitch. A flash of someone older. Someone remembering. And then, just as quickly, it was gone. Because the archive never forgets. But the archivist always must.